So a big thank you, Miranda, for joining us on the Online Business Show today. For everyone watching, Miranda is an executive coach, and her big focus is actually really strategically how to help business owners, business leaders to understand the law of attraction and how to use it in a way that's really practical and gets results. Miranda and I have been in each other's network for a long time, and Miranda's spoken at the monthly meetup in the past. So it's just a matter of time before we hopped on and did something like this.
Definitely.
But I just want to hand over the figurative microphone to you for a second, Miranda. Please do introduce yourself to everyone watching and tell them a little bit more about you.
So thanks, Bethan, and welcome everyone who is watching and listening. I am Miranda Thomas from Inspired Coaching and Consulting, and I am an executive coach, as Bethan has said, and I also specialise in law of attraction. And Bethan introduced me as a no-nonsense law of attraction, and I really like that. So yeah, I'm a no-nonsense. So in my executive coaching role, I help directors and CEOs to peak performance, to have a better performance in their roles, in their organizations. And from the law of attraction perspective, I help business owners and leaders understand how to practically use law of attraction so they get better results in their business and their life. So it's about faster results, it's about better results, and it's just about understanding a little bit more about how law of attraction actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. And law of attraction is something that I have loved ever since I started running my own business. I've always had a vision board. I've always had a goal list, and I've always approached them very much like they've already happened. I was actually, weirdly enough, doing a podcast with someone else, and I was talking about how I found this old journal of mine when I was about 15, in which I used to write out these stories of like very important moments in my life yet to come, so to speak. So like I gave the example of on my 15th birthday, I wrote an entry in my journal as if it was my 25th birthday and what my life looked like on that day. And it's been something I've done my entire life without knowing what the law of attraction was, how the whole system manifested itself. So yeah, it's something that's quite near and dear to me. I spend at least 10 minutes every morning doing this kind of exercise to get my brain in the right spot. And yeah, Miranda has increased my knowledge on it twofold and made it all just feel like it slots into place. For those listening who are thinking, what the hell are you both talking about? What is the law of attraction? Can we do a brief explanation of what we mean when we say law of attraction?
Yeah, so I always like to give the definition from The Secret, because The Secret with Rhonda Byrne, she's the person that made law of attraction accessible to the majority, to the masses. And she says that law of attraction is a force that works like gravity, that determines everything that comes into our life and everything that we experience. And it does so through the magnetic power of our thoughts. So in other words, it's like thoughts attract like. So if you want to understand law of attraction, think about it as you being the center of it and your thoughts having the effect of a gravitational pull of things towards you. So if you've got thoughts that are, let's say, high vibe thoughts, then you're pulling high vibe experiences and people and opportunities to you. And if you've got low vibe thoughts, you're doing the same.
Yeah. And for anyone listening, the mention of The Secret there, The Secret is a book, it's a documentary, it's a movie, it's an everything at this point. So if you even just Google it, I'm sure it'll appear in multiple formats for you to look at. And is a lot to take in, mind. The way you just explained that was so simple. The Secret can get a little bit full on, whereas that was a really lovely, concise breakdown of what can be quite complicated. So well done, Miranda.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so what does it mean to you then? What does manifestation mean to you?
It's so interesting. Such an interesting one. I used to think of manifestation as, not something that I like to use in my law of attraction world. That I want to say that first and foremost. But in terms of manifestation, it's easier to explain what it's not. So manifestation is not wishing for something into existence or pining away or yearning for something and then wondering why it hasn't happened. That yearning, pining, thinking is not manifestation for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not thinking about, I want X goal and I'm expecting it, so why hasn't it fallen into my lap? That's not manifestation. So for me, I like to Google things. I like to, see the actual definition of what it is. And if you Google manifestation meaning, that word, it says it's something theoretical that's made real. So for me, if I put it into my law of attraction, I think of it's a thought that you can transform into reality.
Yeah.
That's what I would say is so it's something that is an idea or a thought, your goal, your vision, and then the manifestation of it is something that you can see, smell, hear, taste, touch.
Yeah, love that. And I wanted to mention the kind of manifestation specifically, because I think a lot of people listening who, if they've come across law of attraction, it will typically have been through, I don't know, some CEO's like morning routine that includes a 20-minute manifestation meditation or whatever it might be. And so I wanted to just like touch upon that a little bit. And it is becoming pretty popular. I find more and more people seem to be speaking about it, or maybe my gravitational pull of my knowledge about it is bringing more people into my network.
Yeah, I would say so. Manifestation and manifesting, it was made more popular sort of after the 2020 and the 2020
that time.
and yes and TikTok made it very popular. I can't remember how many billions of impressions each video the word manifesting or manifestation gets, but it is a lot more people than in 2006 when Rhonda Byrne first started with the whole law of attraction thing. That was seen as, something very different. Now, when you mention manifesting, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I know about manifesting. Yeah. So the actual word manifesting has grown, it's evolved, and it's become more common knowledge, or certainly, more people feel like they know what that is.
Yeah, and I do feel like a really random pop culture reference here, but I do feel like once upon a time, I remember reading about, oh gosh, what's his name? Noel Edmonds, I think his name is, from Deal or No Deal. And I remember there being like articles in the paper as if he was an absolute lunatic writing letters to aliens to give him the dream life that he'd ever wanted.
Absolutely. And, I've come across a lot of people who get angry because they're like, oh, well, I've been thinking this doesn't work because I've been thinking and thinking and thinking about it. And, it hasn't happened. So what do? What are the steps? And it's because there's a little bit more to it than just the thinking. For me, I've broken it up into 4 key components, what I call 4 key components. And they are literally just having, your mind and your emotions. They have to be lined up. Yeah. And also you have to be aware of your blocks, so what could be blocking you, and also your beliefs, and not just in the moment when you're looking at your affirmations or when you're looking at your vision board. This happens to be across the board, and that's the piece that I feel is missing from most law of attraction books on how to manifest.
Completely agree, because that was something that really clicked into place when you and I started speaking, was like, oh yeah, I have these really great like high vibe moments when I'm consciously thinking about it, but a lot of the rest of my day I can let myself get bogged down to those low vibe, and it kind of just evens it out to a middle ground at that point. Need to get those high fives all day.
That's exactly what it is. And the way I look at it, it's like maths, it's just the number of positive thoughts or beneficial thoughts that you have, the greater, the stronger, the more powerful your gravitational pull is for the things that you want. And like you said, if you have like amazing thoughts in the morning because you're doing your routine, but then the rest of the day is quite low vibe, well, you just sort of add it up and divide it by the number of hours that are there and see what your median is going to be. It's going to be pretty low on average. So what we're wanting to do is get that average up, that average up. And I saw the other day, Oprah, who is a law of attraction advocate and practitioner, she said the reason why law of attraction in her mind doesn't work for most people is because they are unable to keep their vibrations high consistently.
I completely agree. Okay, next question then, getting down to the nitty gritty. What is the purpose of the law of attraction?
For me personally, I think the law of attraction is about, so I come from a personal professional development background. I've been involved in the personal professional development industry for over 2 decades. So I'm all about growth, development, you know, and evolution. So evolving and becoming I guess it's a better version of yourself. So for me, law of attraction is a way that you can utilize this force to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say is the purpose of law of attraction. But my mission, what I've decided that I want to do is have law of attraction be used as a business tool. So utilizing law of attraction so that you can get better results in your business as well as in your life. So yeah, I think that's what I'd say law of attraction is useful for. That's its purpose.
Yeah. And okay, so you talked about business there. I think in the business world, there can be a lot of very pragmatic, very practical people, maybe even watching this, who are thinking, law of attraction sounds like some magic woo-woo nonsense that couldn't possibly work for me and my practical, pragmatic mind. And I don't know what you're on about. But I know that that's not the case, and I've gotten past that. I just want to address the elephant in the room, basically, for anyone who is watching it and feeling that way, how your take on the law of attraction is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's use you as an example, Bethan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So part of law of attraction, so the way that I share it is we're looking at things like the way that you utilize your thoughts. We're also looking at the way that so emotional intelligence, so understanding, the emotions that you have and how to regulate those emotions, because emotions are connected to, if you Google vibration, what is vibration? It will say that it's an emotional state of being. So your emotional state of being helps you to understand the vibration that you have. And then we're looking at blocks as well, because the blocks are the things that will get in the way of us being able to have that high vibration that we had referred to earlier, and also our beliefs. So what we believe is possible. So if we have something called limiting beliefs, then our limiting beliefs are quite low vibe. They allow us to get to where we are. But if we want to go beyond there, then we need to upgrade our beliefs. And so when we are able to have those 4 things aligned, now that we've got a greater chance of maintaining a higher vibration. And if we maintain a higher vibration, then law of attraction will work in our lives at a very optimum level and very quickly. So you'll be able to see things happening very quickly in your life, because you're being able to maintain that high vibration. So what I wanted to ask you was, when we had I guess you call it a breakthrough or power hour. We had our power hour together. I shared things about law of attraction that was in a very different perspective. So I was just wondering if you could share with the audience what your thoughts were on what I shared and then the results of that.
Yeah. You know what? Law of attraction was something that up until then I'd heard so much about, and I kind of tried to take it on board, but I still had this little niggling thought, whether it was my voices or also other people's voices saying like, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that's a load of nonsense. And I think for me, I really struggled with how you said earlier, how do I go from writing something down in my notebook of a morning to it being my real life? And I couldn't really get the link. And that was where I struggled. I struggled to see how something small like my thought could change what my end outcome was. But when we did this session, I really did deal with some major blocks. Money mindset has always been an issue for me, guys. I've talked about this in previous podcasts, previous YouTube videos. I never ever charged enough for what I did. I never valued my worth for what it was, because I could not break those beliefs around money that I had out of my brain. And slowly but surely, I find with working with law of attraction, by setting my mindset right to focus around my goals, my end term, what I want in life, both personally and professionally, it does a few things. It helps me stay focused. It helps me make sure that I've got those in mind on what I'm working on day to day. And it helps me start to believe that they're possible, because I'm saying it to myself so regularly and proving to myself as well. So giving myself the belief that it is possible because I'm doing the steps. And yeah, that was when it really clicked into me that this isn't just like a paper exercise. This isn't just something that people do. It's actually more of a part of everything, a part of day-to-day life. And yeah, made a world of difference for me.
So what I wanted to add to that, because you reminded me of, we're talking about just things happening in everyday life, and we're talking about getting results.
Yeah.
And there's something else that's quite key to law of attraction, because we're all human and we've got life coming at us, and sometimes it's not, as fantastic and shiny and bright as we want it to be. And so a really, really key part of being able to maintain that high vibration is being able to master our triggers. That's like really, really, really key, because when we are able to master our triggers, now we are free to think the thoughts that we want to, feel the way we want to feel, and that will impact the actions that we take, which has a direct impact on the results that we get in life. So I just wanted to add that in as well. There's something that you said there that just made me think, oh, add that in. So
yeah, I love that, because I think we all know someone in our lives that we can think of that something goes wrong for them, and it feels like when it rains it pours. It feels like if something goes wrong, everything that possibly could go wrong in their life goes wrong. And now I don't want to put the blame on that person. I'm by no means saying that, oh well, it's their fault because they're not embracing their thoughts and all those sorts of things. But the outlook that you can have when those emotional triggers get pulled on, and when things go wrong and you start catastrophizing, then even the tiniest thing that isn't actually a big deal and could be something that just rolls off your back becomes this huge mountain that you have to climb. Okay, I always like to do these sessions in a little bit of a what, why, and how focus. So we've talked about the what around law of attraction, but I'm curious to know the why, and the why for you as well, especially. Why did you end up in this line of work? It's so specific, it's so unique. To be an executive coach working with the law of attraction is something I've never come across before. So I'd love to hear that kind of story from you, Miranda, of how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could put it really succinctly. For me, it's all about the high performance, peak performance, that piece. When I was younger, I had won scholarships to go to a private school in the UK. So I won a 7-year scholarship. So that's all about high performance. And then I won another scholarship to study in the USA, which was also all about high performance. I played in the A teams in sports. In the US, it was varsity. I've been president of the African American Society, and the Afro-Caribbean Society here in the UK. So my whole sort of, ever since I was 11 years old, when I won the scholarships to go to my school, it was all about peak performance. And my school was all about peak performance. And so, but, and then I went to university. I got a degree in international business with Spanish. So I speak Spanish. I also speak French. And it's all about sort of that peak performance, being a high performer. And so when I got out into the big wide world, it didn't stop, but it was very different. And I found that I needed other tools, other ways to achieve that level of high performance. So I retrained as a life coach. And when I was working as a life coach, I was like, oh, there's something that I'm not getting here with the clients that I'm working with, because, you set the goals, you have the strategies, and you have the actions. And so they'd come back and they'd say, oh, I say, all right, we've done the goal, we've did the strategy. So how did you get on with the actions? And they go, oh, I didn't do them. It's like, oh, really? Well, why? And so in my mind, it's just like, coming from that peak performance background, why wouldn't you do them? So I thought, oh, there's something I'm missing here. There's something that I need to know. And then along comes the law of attraction, to cut a long story short, in 2006. And it was all about being able to have the life that you want in this, ask, believe, receive way.
Yeah.
So that sort of piqued my interest there, but I didn't really have time to study, as I said, for the missing link, because it was like, why does it work for some people, but it doesn't work for others?
Yeah.
So coming from sort of life coaching, but I've all my degrees in international business studies.
Yeah.
So I've always been very interested in, you know, the corporate side of things and the hierarchy, and how do we get promoted, and what is it that makes the difference? So I studied law of attraction because I wanted to find that missing link. I wrote a book, How to Be Rich Using Law of Attraction, which has the missing link in it for beginners. Both kind of dovetail because I found the key components that make law of attraction work effectively are actually what are required for peak performance in executives.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of link.
Yeah. So it just kind of clicked into place when those two, I can imagine the light bulb moment of like, wait a minute, these two things intersect.
Yeah, these are the same things. They're actually the same things. And the things that I thought at the beginning when I was doing life coaching, the reasons why individuals, they loved the idea of an inspirational goal, loved the strategies, loved the actions, but didn't, you know, each week I'd come back and say, oh, so have you done the actions? No, I haven't. I realized it was beliefs that were
holding
away,
them back.
those blocks and beliefs were holding them back. So that's how I sort of, through trial and error, realized that. And in fact, with the directors that I was called into, I'm called in to help them get to the next level. That's a confidence piece sometimes. So again, blocks and beliefs and emotions and mindset. So they all sort of are the same thing in my mind. So that's hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah. And it answered the next question. I wanted to ask you why you thought it was so important for business owners, especially, to be interested in or learn about and put into play at least some law of attraction principles. And I think you answered it there when you started talking about the mindset. Even earlier when you mentioned emotional intelligence, I feel like all good leaders have to have strong emotional intelligence. So these things tie in: high performer, successful entrepreneur, then you've got to look at it.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a guy called John Assaraf. He is a law of attraction teacher, but he's also big on he's a peak performance expert, but also brain science. And he says that is a pivotal leadership skill, the emotional intelligence piece, but also the mindset, they dovetail because your thoughts generate your emotions. So they're sort of interlinked. But absolutely, definitely, for business, if when you use law of attraction as a business tool, you can take your strategy further and faster. So it sort of collapse the time it would take normally if you were in your old mindset when you use the law of attraction mindset.
Love it. Okay. So why do you think it all of a sudden boomed and became so much more popular as of kind of 2020 onwards?
I think a lot of people had a lot of time. Time happened. So there was time currency happening. Also, I think a lot of people were beginning to not feel, they were beginning to look at their lives a little bit differently because they had time to stop and think, you know, is this really what I want in my life? And also in terms of mindset, minds were becoming more open-minded because suddenly there was that time to think and stop and explore. And you know, this is obviously about life improvement and, you know, getting what you want in your life. And people beginning to think, okay, so I've got these other approaches, these other methods, but I'm open to looking at this one.
Yeah.
And also there's the sort of time factor that's involved in law of attraction, and the quality of the results that you can get, I think, is quite attractive to individuals. But I think, it's definitely having that time to stop and pause and think and look at things from a different perspective, I think really, really helped. Well, I definitely, first of all, say secret, because the actual Rhonda Byrne secret, just to give a feel for what it's all about and whether that's something that they resonates with them, something that they're interested in. And then, of course, I'd say my book, which is How to Be Rich Using Law of Attraction. It's available on Amazon Kindle. But that book, because it has a 21-day coaching program, so that if you're not familiar with how your mind and your emotions and your body and, you know, your energy needs to be, that 21-day coaching program will tell you, will show you how to get yourself into line. So I'd say that was a book for beginners.
Yeah.
That's what I'd definitely say.
Amazing. And the link will be in the description if anybody wants to go in and find this on Amazon. Of course, we'll pop the title on the screen for you to look it up. But yeah, there'll be a direct link in the description below. Okay, so if people are starting this process, what would you say are the kind of activities that they should start to consider adding into maybe their daily routine and getting used to being something they check in with their mind regularly?
That's a really, really, really good question. And my mind went into many different places there. So we've got the book for beginners. If it's someone that is familiar with law of attraction and The Secret, have a few, things that they do, like journal, affirmations, vision boards. I would say the next stage then is to look at mindset, is to look at your thoughts. And because we have this thing where we just accept the first thought that comes into our minds, regardless of what it is. And the thing about that is that our logic is kind of attached to the past. So if, something's happened, because of the way that our brain works, it wants to keep us safe. So it will just look for something that's sort of similar and then give us that thought that matches sort of, kind of, but not really the situation that we're in. Yeah. And if we accept that as, oh, fine, and then just go off and, our emotions and our actions and our results are about that, then we actually haven't allowed ourselves to tap into, the highest frequency we could find, the highest vibration. But we also haven't allowed ourselves to explore our fullest potential, which is what, we want to be able to do. So I would say that you want to, when your first thought comes to you, if it feels uncomfortable, to think of a second thought that's slightly more improved, and then think of a third thought that could be improved upon the second thought, and then see how that feels, and then take action on that. I would say, as an actual tool, that would be something that if you did every single day would help, because we have 91% of our thoughts are repeated thoughts from the day before. So that's what would keep us at that median. So if we're wanting to raise our frequency, raise our vibration, that second thought, third thought that I've just suggested is one way. And if you've been following law of attraction and you've got a few principles and routines that you do, you'll see a massive difference in just
I love that one. A really good example here, I think someone gave it when you spoke about this in the networking group that we did. Someone said, so what when I think like, oh, I've had a really shit day, I should just tell myself it's great. And you actually broke down and you were like, no, if you think, oh, I have a really shit day, you should think, but actually it's only been the last half an hour and I can change that and my day can be good. And you kind of can move the needle, and it feels more realistic than you don't have to go from the worst of the worst to the best of the best. You can just kind of inch that feeling across until you can find yourself in a more positive place.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's impossible, really. The mind won't accept that, going from a really crappy day to, oh, now it's all really amazing. Your mind will say, no, it's not. So in order to sort of help your mind, it's called building neural pathways in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So if you don't have a track record of being able to switch over like that, you build neural pathways, which literally, just think of it as building a new road that you want to go down. You want to take a different route. So instead of taking that route that you always take, that you know where that ends up, you take a different route. You continue taking that route until it's grooved in, and then you will naturally go down. And so you'll find yourself, if you practice, thinking something that's not so great because of something that's happened, and suddenly another thought will just kick in automatically, and it will be better. And you'll think, oh, where did that thought come from? That's the beginning of it working.
Love that. And that's such a good tool, because it's so easy for anyone to put into place. You don't have to separate half an hour of your morning to kind of start that process.
Absolutely. That is so good you say that, because today I was doing a speaking event, and at the end we had Q&A, and they said, how much time do we have to allot for this?
Your life? But not quite.
But I was in 2 months, because I was thinking, oh, I hate to tell you this, but it's all the time every day. But the other thing is that you don't have to sit down and do a specific time say. It's just as life comes at you, you can, you know, begin to practice these things. And then for the law of attraction practitioners who want to have mastery, they want to establish mastery, then there are many, many, many law of attraction teachers out there. Of course there are, but I would recommend coming to me.
I would recommend going to Miranda too. I think that's the perfect note to end on. But any parting thoughts, anything that we haven't touched upon that you're dying to say?
Well, do you know, what it is that I'm looking for individuals, business owners and leaders who have challenges, business challenges of any kind, because I'd love to be able to demonstrate how law of attraction works. So, you know, pretty much like we had, Bethan, when we, you know, had our power hour, where, you know, you just present the challenge and then I answer the challenge or, you know, reflect back to you in the law of attraction language, so that you can see how practical the law of attraction practices are, and also sort of how easy. And that's something that I would really love to do. Love to invite your listeners, if they're ready, willing and able, to maybe contact you, to contact me. I'm not quite sure how it would work, but yeah, that's something I'd love to do.
Yeah, of course. If you want more details on how you can reach Miranda, do get in touch with me. But I will pop your LinkedIn, where people can find you, in the description below as well. So pop a little note on there and say I sent you, just so that Miranda knows where you came from.
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me to join you, Bethan. It's been really great the time's gone really quickly. It's been really great to have this conversation with you about something that I'm really passionate about. And I'm I'm so pleased that it has helped you in the way that it has, because that, of course, is my intention for all of my law of attraction work. So thank you.
No, thank you for joining us. I know coming on a podcast can be a little bit scary sometimes. So hugely appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and educate all the fine people watching about what the law of attraction means in a no-nonsense way.
Perfect. Thank you so much.